Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you another video. Alright, so I feel a lot better. Got my fruit and my vegetables. I got myself some bread. I know the bread's probably gonna sit on my stomach like a heavyweight, but I don't care, man. I just figured I'd give myself an alternative to the rice. Plus, I really like this type of bread. Armenian bread is delicious. It's funny because, like, for me, I grew up around a lot of different types of people, and one of the people that was mainly at my school as an elementary school student was Armenian people. So I was able to kind of get familiar with their culture, kind of get familiar with their energy and all of that. Growing up in Hollywood and kind of frequenting Burbank and those areas, I actually knew more Armenian people than black people when I was a little kid. Knew more Spanish and Mexican people than I did black people too. I didn't really get around my people in terms of like school until like 6th grade. To be honest with you, because my elementary school was predominantly Spanish and Armenian. So when I go in places like that, I'm so comfortable. I already know. I kind of already have a vibe for them. I already know how that goes as it pertains to, you know, just how they can present their niceness and how they present their love. And you know, it's a subtlety. It's not like a overdo it. But what I know about the Armenian people is when they love you, they hold you down, man. They hold you down for real. So I can honestly say that I grew up with some really good, genuine Armenian friends. In fact, there was a lady back in the day who had two daughters. She really befriended my mom. I think she even came to our house a couple times. So, you know, not to be the guy that says I got a couple friends, but just to say that I'm familiar with the culture to a degree and had a lot of good, genuine people that I knew that represented the Armenian people. So shout out to them, man. You just never know who you walk across. When you see a black dude like me, you don't know where I've been, or, you know what I mean? That's why I always get so frustrated, because it's like people put labels on you and they think they see your skin. They don't know what you're comfortable with. They don't know who you've been around. But we could be some well-rounded people, black folks, because, you know, you don't know where we grew up. Sometimes we get far away from our folks and how we're raised. My mom raised me in Hollywood. There wasn't a whole lot of black folks around when I was growing up, man. Not too many. You know, so it's just kind of interesting to me. It's been a long time, though, since I've been around Armenian people, because once you get to this side of town or old Inglewood and, you know, start growing up, you know, you just get further away from Hollywood, and they're not nearly as prevalent around in some of those areas. So it's like a blast from the past for me, walking to Armenian establishment and see nothing but Armenian people. It feels like I feel like a little kid again. I relate that to my childhood. So it's a blessing growing up in LA, man. That's why I tell people, like, if I grew up in like Atlanta or maybe in some of these other areas, I wouldn't know nothing about nothing as it pertains to these different people's cultures like that. Not at all. You know what I mean? But since I grew up in Hollywood, oh man, I was more comfortable around their culture than I was my own at one point, believe it or not. Like third grade, my teacher was Armenian, Miss Atarian. You know what I mean? In fact, I think my 2nd grade teacher was Armenian too. So it's like, you just don't know when you see a black dude. You just don't know where he's been, man. For all you know, we ain't even used to our own people. You know what I mean? More used to you. And that's the God's honest truth, man. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, I've been afforded a blessing for that. That's a very good thing, man. You know, you can't, nobody tell me who they are. You know what I mean? If you want to say some lies about their people, or you want to say they something they're not, I'd be like, not quite, buddy. Based on who I've known, I could tell you that's not the case. And same thing with Mexican people and Salvadorian people, Guatemalan people, same thing, man. Can't tell me who they are, I already know them. You know what I mean? It's one of those type of things. Who I didn't really know, unfortunately, was whites and blacks. Unfortunately, that's how I was growing up. I didn't know too many white folks, other than seeing them at my mom's job, people she worked with, that kind of thing. But I didn't really have too many white kids in my neighborhood. I had no kids in the neighborhood. And then going to a children's club, you see like a lot of it was predominantly Hispanic. You know, all different walks of life, all different countries, South America, Mexico, and then Filipino as well. People from oh dang, this bag is busted on me. That's not good. I'll make it work though. But you know, just different cultures, man. I grew up very comfortable around people that didn't look nothing like me, and they treated me good too, man. Preschool, all the teachers, all the kids were Hispanic, all of them. I was me and another black dude and a black girl in the preschool I was in. Everybody else, different cultures, man. All walks of life from all different types of places. So I'm just fortunate in that way to have that type of normalcy to where I had culture raise me. Different cultures literally raise me. Not just kind of see them around the way. No, these are the people who were feeding me when I was like 4 years old. That kind of thing, you know what I mean? So that's love, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate all those folks who help cultivate who it is I am today. It's why I'm able to feel comfortable everywhere I go, more or less, around all different types of people. And I know that that's not prevalent a lot of times with our people, depending on where you are in this country. They don't know of other people's religions or races and things of that nature. They don't know how to interact with people and things of that nature. Not me, though. Not myself, man. I had to learn how to be around my own folks, which is really strange in some ways, but it's just how it was, man. So, yeah, man, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better even though my arm's itching. I can't really scratch it, but I feel good. I think another part of my problem right now, honestly, is I ain't really been smoking weed, man, so it got me wound up. That kind of thing. When I was telling y'all about how I was feeling, being all extreme, feeling like angry and all of that, it comes from not having enough weed to smoke. When, you know what I mean? Honestly, for my personality, I gotta be able to unwind at times unless I'm intent on not smoking. Like I was when I was working in Marina Harbor and Marina Del Rey for a whole year. I was intent on not smoking. I had intentions of just staying away from it for a while for my own reasons, but that ain't what's going on right here. I just can't smoke in a hotel room. So it is what it is, man. I do partake in what it is I like to partake in. I don't allow myself to think it's a taboo or a bad thing anymore. I did when I was growing up. I had a weird mentality about my weed. I would hide my weed under my bed even though my mom knew I had it. That's a sign that my mental health wasn't where it needed to be. I didn't have no problem coming in the house high. My mom would see my eyes closed and red, but I would want to hide the weed from her just the same. And I never thought she would throw it away. I knew she knew where it was, but I had the mentality that it was a bad thing, so it needed to be hidden. And it's like, man, look, if you understand why they told everybody weed was bad, if you really understand why it had to do with money, man. It had nothing to do with it actually being more harmful or less harmful than anything else that they're giving you in the pharmaceuticals. Liquor is 10 times worse for you than marijuana. And by way of culture, we don't look at it that way, but it literally is. In every way. Every way. You name it, it's worse for you than weed. So that's my thing. It's like, man, these is cultures. These are agreed upon. Things are agreed upon. You know what I mean? And I think about the pharmaceuticals. We talk about weed as a gateway drug. I've never tried any other drugs. I've been smoking weed for as long as I've been alive. My first tried weed when I was 12 years old. I ain't never tried nothing else. So for those who say weed is a gateway drug, prove it. Prove it. I can tell you what is a gateway drug. The pharmaceutical drugs they give you. These things that have you ticking like this. You know, stuff like that will definitely have you looking for a higher high. But marijuana, no. You're just gonna be looking for other strains of marijuana that fit your personality. That's all you're gonna do. And they have people fooled who have been brainwashed into thinking that weed is the most taboo thing in the world, into thinking that they should be shunning people who smoke it. Hey, buddy, what's up? They think that it's the worst thing in the world, and then they tell people who smoke weed they should never smoke it. But you ain't never smoked it. That's why I used to have a conversation with my mom. She would tell me what weed was and what it was, and I'm like, but you never tried it. I know more about weed than you do. That's why I used to get frustrated with. It's like, wait a minute. No. Let me educate you on what it is. Because you telling me what people told you and what you saw from certain strands. It's a million strands. So what did what? People talk, I don't like smoking weed because it do this. No, it don't do anything. You got to figure out what weed works for you and what don't. Some weeds do this, some weeds do that. They got as many weeds out there as they do any other variety of things. And if you have the wrong one, it ain't gonna be for you. If you have the right one, then it may be for you. But one thing you do have to be aware of is lung health. I'll never sit here and tell you weed should be smoked. That's culture, and it probably shouldn't. It should more likely be cooked with, to be honest with you. Cooked with and put into capsule form, anything but smoking. Because at the end of the day, anything that you're putting into your lungs that's burning is bad for you. It's culture, though. We go along with it. It's tradition, but honestly, it's not healthy. So it's how you intake it. You know what I mean? If you want to smoke anything, it's bad for you. Pick something. It's bad for you if you're smoking it. So that's the reality of it. But as far as like memory and stuff like that, some weeds will screw your memory up. Some weeds will have it so that you can't even talk clearly. I remember one time I had a weed so confusing for my brain that I couldn't even read from left to right. I was looking at the words all kinds of weird ways. Like, some weed is definitely not for you. And in that case, you need to stay the hell away from it. But certain stuff will have you feeling better about everything around you. Some things will enhance your mindset. Some stuff only works on you. And they have a totally different reaction to somebody else. You know what I mean? Like my boy T. We don't react the same way to weed. He'll smoke the same strain I will, have an entirely different experience every time. And that's why we don't like the same weed in some cases. Because it's like, yo, he'll tell me it got in my arms and my legs. I'm like, nah, I didn't do nothing like that. All I felt is in my head. That's it. So it's like, that's the thing. Your body type has to do with it, you know, and all kinds of different stuff that I don't even know. I don't know that I even know the science behind all that. All I know is that it don't react the same way to everybody, and anything you smoke of any kind is bad for your lungs. And a lot of weed is horrible on your memory. And I'll just tell you the truth. You know, it has its good and its bad. It's not like it's the best thing in the world, depending on what you're smoking. Nah. I tell people, there are certain strands out there. If that was the only weed in the world, I would never smoke. I'll tell y'all right now. Certain weeds, like, nah. And there may be the weeds that everybody like purple haze. I had horrible experiences with purple haze. Man, purple anything's bad. Bubbas, all these bubbas, just keep that crap away from me. If that was the only weed out there, I'd never smoke. You know, some of the Bama, some of the like Arizona, some of that stuff to give you a headache. Nah, I would never smoke weed, man. And if that was the only weed I knew of, I wouldn't tell anybody that is any good. But like some weeds is like wedding cake was my favorite for a while, and I got tired of it. You know, that kind of thing. So it's like, there's no perfect science to this. And for those who don't smoke weed, think you know what weed is, believe me, there's a rabbit hole that you've never gone down. There's a whole door that leads to a whole Alice in Wonderland universe that you have know nothing about, honestly. And so that was the culture. They were trying to keep you from even thinking that it's decent to smoke, because they didn't want you finding out that you can grow it anywhere and sell it anywhere, and then they couldn't tax it. Now that they found a way to monetize it, tax it, and overall make it corporate, now all of a sudden, oh yeah, we're pro cannabis. Oh yeah. I watched the whole thing change on its axis. It went from showing people getting hit by cars coming out of drive-thrus, talking about this weed is going to be the worst thing in the world, like it's some type of liquor. No, that's what liquor does. Liquor's going to have your ass running people over and not paying attention to where you're going. Weed's going to have you driving too damn slow, depending on what you're smoking. Or if it's one of those elevated weeds, it's going to have you driving better than you ever did before. I remember one time I smoked some stuff, man. My driving was pristine. When I say pristine, bro, avoiding all kinds of bad accidents and stuff like that, I was high as a kite. But the weed I was on elevated my intelligence. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it just depends on what you own, man. Don't let people lie to you about what it is, especially people who ain't never smoked. Because they'll be the first ones to tell you it's the worst thing in the world, and then full on take on all kinds of other poison. Eat bad foods, drink liquor, put all kinds of coffee in their body, all kinds of sugar, and then will tell you weed is bad and they ain't never tried it. Man, get out of here. I stopped letting people guilt trip me like that somewhere in my 20s. It took a long time, but eventually I realized, yo, man, I'll discern what's right for me and let culture be culture. Because a lot of that culture is manipulated and people ain't asking the right questions to find out why. That's it. They didn't want you profiting off of weed because they couldn't figure out how to profit off of weed. As soon as they figured out how to profit off of weed, then they made it cool. Just like anything else. Prohibition, same thing. The liquor, they stopped that and they brought it back. Because they couldn't keep all the people who wanted to drink. They couldn't stop people from drinking. It just became a bigger, blacker market. So it's like, man, look, I'll figure out what works for me. Thank you very much. Y'all figure out whatever the hell y'all want to agree upon. And I'm just going to sit on the sideline and do what I want to do. That's how I'm going to be when it pertains to everything I like. And I won't break any rules. You know, they don't want you to smoke in the hotel. I have yet to break that rule. I'm not that type of immature. You know what I'm saying? That's not how I think. But at the same time, as far as me sitting up here saying, oh, weed is the worst thing in the world and I agree with you. No, I don't agree with you. Now, if we smoking the wrong stuff, then for sure, I don't want to have anything to do with it. But as far as just hating all weed, I don't hate all weed. And I don't think all weed is good. And I'm certainly not one of those people that think it makes any sense to allow others who ain't smoking to tell me and you what's right about it and what's wrong about it. They don't know. They don't know the first thing. They know the second thing. When we talk about the word context, context is important. So that's what I want to tell people, man. And abusing anything is bad for you, man. If you overuse marijuana, believe you me, it ain't gonna be no good for you. I've abused it at times. Found myself addicted to it. It's very addictive if you're smoking the wrong stuff. Most stuff can be addictive. Where you going, buddy? Keep digging. Cat was digging his hole. He saw me, he ran. Yeah, I ain't gonna stop you from digging, bro. Whatever. But yeah, man, that's just what's on my mind. I know my attitude ain't where it needs to be because I ain't smoked nothing in about 2 days. But I'm gonna put an end to that. I'm gonna probably light up one of these joints when I put this food I'm gonna come back outside and walk up this block, probably do that and get my mind right. But yeah, man, I encourage people to be healthy in whatever you do. Eating, intake of mental health support drugs, whatever you're doing, man, be healthy, bro. And I'll tell you right now, here's something I don't want to know nothing about. Anything that has to go in the nose, I don't want nothing about. I don't like when milk comes out of my nose. So it ain't gonna be no snorting or anything in this body here. Yeah, I already know I got sinus issues anyway. Y'all can hear that most of the time when I talk. So it ain't gonna be no snorting of cocaine. So don't let nobody tell you that Brandon was on some type of drug. I was never. I'm not interested in certain stuff. I know there are other rabbit holes to go down and stuff like that I don't know enough about. Maybe I would love it. I don't care. I like what I like. Certain doors I don't need to open. And maybe that's how you feel about weed. I support that if that's how you feel. But I can tell you a lot of people have a lot of problems that I think marijuana can help if they intake it properly. Some people got a lot of issues that they just need to calm down. They just need something that's going to make them be a little sharper or what have you. They just need to find the strand that would make them happy. Once they go down that rabbit hole, all of a sudden they turn into the biggest stoners in the world after shunning it their whole lives. They don't know why they never tried it in the first place. A lot of these cancers and stuff like that, you could treat that stuff if you intake marijuana properly, depending on the strain you want. You know, weed can do all kind of stuff. You can build homes with weed if you really want to. Honestly, the strongest rope in the world, from what I understand, is cannabis rope. When it's built, when it's woven properly, it could be the strongest rope in the world. Like these are things that they ain't gonna tell you because, quite honestly, they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know. And so this is why we have to go doing our own due diligence to find out what it is that we're dealing with, and ultimately don't abuse anything. Too much of anything is bad except for love. Only thing that you can never have too much of is love, in my opinion. Everything else, be careful. And that includes water too. I remember one time I drank so much water I threw up. So don't think that's not our thing. That's our real thing. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was a little kid. My mom had bought a whole 2-gallon thing of water, and I just drank most of it and puked it all back up on the carpet. Just stupid, young, dumb, very young. Actually, I was probably like 7. But yeah, man, so I'm telling y'all. So don't let what I'm saying coerce you into something that's not right for you. What I'm just telling you is don't listen to people who don't know the hell they're talking about. Be so damn matter of fact about what it is that ultimately you may like or may think is all right if you were to just try it yourself. That's my whole point of view on that. But yeah, man, walking down this street, it's a little hot, but it ain't as bad as I thought it would be when I came over here. Initially, I thought we were gonna be dealing with 95-degree days and stuff like that. It just never happened. And I kind of prayed for that. I was like, Lord, while I'm on this side of town, can you please make it so that the weather is at least decent, so that I'm not burning in the apartment with the fan. And he's made it so cool, man. I've had the coolest days. It's cool over here than it was in Lenox. It's in my apartment. So yeah, man, been keeping up with my workouts, and I just appreciate the day, man. I appreciate the Lord allowing me the peace of mind to rest, even though I have circumstances that would otherwise make it so that people look at me crazy for resting. This is my life, and within that life I've made some mistakes. One of them is not listening to my body at times, you know, not listening to it, telling me to relax, and then I want to get behind the wheel and then be tired on the road. No. That's what would have happened today if I had got down there, got that car today, did all that. I'd have been on the road exhausted, starting the process of the grind. Now, that's not how you do it. You gotta be cool to start your process so that you'll have the energy to complete that process. And anything less than that is stupid, in my opinion. So listen to your body, especially if you're of a certain age, man. If you're in your 20s and stuff like that, nah. But if you like me, you're almost 40, nah. You want to listen to your body. You want to make sure that everything you do is what you need it to do. In other words, if your body is telling you to relax, do that. If your body's telling you to move a certain way, move a certain way. Because at the end of the day, a lot of times our consciousness is not aware of what our body really needs. Sometimes we're on the verge of a heart attack, a stroke, or whatever. You just won't know. You won't know. And so that's real, especially if you're of a certain age. So yeah, that's pretty much what I gotta say, man. Finally back in the hotel room. About to get in here and fix myself a meal and then probably go back out there and do what I said I was gonna do. But I just want people to know that my energy's improved just from going outside, walking and coming back. All that stuff I was feeling angst about in the other video, it ain't as bad just from getting some fresh air and buying some things that I know I needed. And of course they took EBT, so I didn't have to spend a dime on it. So that's a plus as well, being able to receive that from the Gov. So I'm back in the room. No complaints, no worries, just a little bit of hunger. And so that's what I got, man. Whew, feels good to be back in here right now. Turn that fan up a little bit since you see the sweat on my head. But you know, I'm on the mindset of improving my energy. Not letting people who are around me have me feeling worse about what I got going on when they're not in my life. I'm just walking past them, you know what I'm saying? So I need to get better at that. But I will. That's what it comes down to. All right, it's time to unload, put things in the fridge, get right, and relax. Once again, my name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching.